Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. D2 introduced a long-loved weapon type in shooters into the Destiny universe at launch, one that many players consistently requested in Destiny 1 and anxiously anticipated with the sequel. The submachine gun weapon type is now a regular part of our Destiny lives, but they can be tough to handle and often get holstered when matches get tough, as people tend to rely on scouts and autos and sidearms to do most of the hard work in the Crucible. So are SMGs effective options for Crucible players? And if so, how do we use them well and maximize their potential for eliminating targets? That's what I'm going to try to help you with here in this video. We'll talk recoil, range, ideal scenarios, and specific SMGs to keep an eye out for. First, let's address recoil control. This is easily the biggest hurdle, standing in between players and using SMGs well in PvP. The overwhelming majority of SMGs in Destiny 2 have wild and severe recoil patterns, making them difficult to experience initial success with. Players find themselves struggling to land a steady stream of bullets and eliminate targets quickly, usually losing gunfights at close quarters, even to things like auto rifles, hand cannons, and especially sidearms like the Last Hope. But don't give up on SMGs so quickly. Even the wildest and fastest rate of fire SMGs can be tamed with some training and basic thumb skill. First, take your SMG, fire it into a wall without pulling your thumb down on the right stick. Just empty the magazine and look at the bullet pattern on the wall. Is it northeast? Is it northwest? Straight up? Is it zigzag? You're going to have to start using your thumb to slightly push the thumbstick in the opposite direction of the recoil pattern while holding the trigger to reel that recoil in a bit. Practice this, practice until you can get a nice tight cluster very regularly. If the recoil pattern of the SMG pulls the weapon right or left or even zigzag from one to the other, then you're going to want to enlist the help of a kinetic or energy recoil reduction mod to make the recoil just a bit more vertical. This will lessen the need to pull in one direction or the other, more or less just straight down on the thumbstick instead. When you learn to control the recoil of your SMG consistently, holy hot dang, holy baby squeezes, these things can absolutely melt people in less than 2 seconds. It is worth it. Do this. Especially the 600 RPM variants. If you land all your shots, good friggin' glory. It's an amazing feeling. That's the thing. These things have harsh recoil, but if you can learn to control it, then they can be pretty flippin' solid. That's the best advice I can give you for getting consistent kills with these things. Learn to control the recoil, and you'll find you'll be able to shoot even through smoke, flashbangs, disorientation like a pro when you start to practice this and really get the hang of it. On a more obvious note, don't try to get too much range out of these things. They're meant for close to close mid-range combat. The Antiope pushes the limits of the SMG range pretty well, but other than that, you need to keep it within 10 yards. Your aim assist will go completely out the window, and your recoil won't allow for consecutive hits on anything outside of that. A few things you need to know about SMGs. Keep in mind that SMGs are pretty solid from the hip. Don't feel like you have to ADS in every engagement. You can pretty reliably hip fire accurately at close range firefights. Also, SMGs they're pretty accurate from the air hip firing too, so feel free to lunge at them baddies like a spotter monkey and riddle them with bullets. You can also use them well by sliding into engagements too. Now keep in mind, to kill people quickly, it's fastest to slide or jump at an enemy, unload your SMG into them, and then melee them in their dumb faces as soon as their shield breaks and they're at about 80% health. This is great for subclasses that use melee abilities that proc certain benefits on kill. So lastly, which SMGs should you look for? Well, obviously you want an Antiope. You get it only from the gunsmith, which basically means RNG. You might get lucky, you might not. Slow rate of fire, hits harder, very stable, recoil is easy to control, and has kill clip. It's stupid good, it really is. It's great for people trying to get used to SMGs but don't want to go straight for the hard to handle fast firing ones. Also, the New Monarchy faction SMG is pretty solid, but requires a trained thumb to use well, as well as the Death Adder, which can be attained through engrams or from leveling up your IO rep. One thing to note about the new Monarchy SMG is that it has high caliber rounds, which seriously makes it difficult on your opponents to accurately return fire when you're hammering them with a literal hose of bullets. The new Iron Banner SMG is pretty solid as well, as is the Adjudicator Trials SMG. And if you can't get an Antiope to drop, you can always rock the Philippus B Blue Rarity SMG instead. SMGs fit really well in an aggressive loadout and couple great with things like throwing knives, syntheseps on the Titan, etc. Get creative with your approaches and ambush people. One thing you can do is use SMGs as cleanup weapons. Often you can create a door for yourself by leading with a grenade or a ranged weapon that tags your opponent up and forces them back off into cover. That's your opportunity to push in and slide or jump and finish them off with an SMG quickly. They're also solid defensive weapons that you can swap to when someone starts to push you after you've been tagged up with some damage as well. Now hopefully we see you out there mixing it all up and going against the grain by getting up in your enemies' faces, and I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll catch you in the Crucible.
No siege, no power. Enemy has